I know if I just have one donut, then I'll be fine. Then I'll go. I won't want to take a nap or like chain reaction snack or like be tired. I'll still be excited to work and drink coffee and stuff. If I just have one donut. Demon Dev here. I was on a walk today, and I had the feeling to listen to one of my videos or vlogs, and I was like, I need to make more of these. Yeah, just again, like purely for myself. I think it could be helpful to other people, but I think it's important to make stuff for yourself first and foremost. First and foremost for yourself. So I was listening to one of my recent videos, Spiritual Project, and I was thinking about omens as I was walking. I have been trying to, I have been establishing more of a routine. I've got two alarms, one, and they're both for the exact same time, around 5:38 a.m. But one is like go work out, and the other one is go work. So I wake up. I wake up to the alarm, and I remember watching some other video that was like talking about having perfect days. I really liked some of his routines. So I was like, oh, let me pull something out of his book. Something that he does is he takes cold showers. He tries to stay in there for 40 seconds first thing out of bed. So that's what I do. I get up. And granted, I have a bit of a sore throat going. I kind of got it sometime yesterday, right before I dropped off the kids. But lately I've been like, one phrase that's been popping in my head is lean into the suffering. And lean into the suffering just means instead of being like, ooh, that sucks, being like, ooh, that sucks. And like appreciating the contrast of life. I don't think you can be happy unless it's compared to something else. Not to other people, but for your own experience, to stay present. You notice things because you didn't notice things. So something different has to happen in order to, compare one moment to the next. Anyways, so I was like, oh, I've got a sore throat. Like, oh, should I get more sleep? And I'm like, no, fuck, screw it. I'll get up at this time. This is the time that I know I want to get up at. 5:38 is like super dark because of daylight savings time. It won't last forever, but for right now it's super dark. So, you get a little bit of secret agent energy if you wake up that early. It's like unnatural, even though it's probably not that unnatural, but for the modern day. Anyways, I'm like, okay, let's do that cold shower thing. I put on some music, which is a bit of a cheat because the guy is very into not doing any music, and I could see the advice of that. Anyways, set the shower to, or actually no. I like to step into the shower before I turn it on. I like the anticipation thing. And I like to say out loud when I can, especially after workouts. I like to say like, oh, it's like so hot, like, oh, I'm sweating, even if I'm like actually really cold. And of course, I'm naked, and I just hopped out of bed. I was like under a blanket. So at 5:38, I'm feeling very cold, but I like to manifest some energy. So I'm like, oh, I'm so hot. I wish I had like some ice cubes. I wish this shower was ice. Like this is gonna be like the hottest shower. I'm gonna be sweating. There's like no point. I jab up the shower to like the lowest setting, and it's very cold. And I'm like and I think I cough up a little bit of mucus, actually. I'm like, oh, okay, this sore throat's a little bit more real. Like, oh, is taking like 40 seconds of cold shower going to make like my sickness worse or like burden my immune system? Whatever, screw it. So anyways, I do that for a bit, do a little bit of roaring in the shower. Like, oh, it's too warm, even though it's very much not too warm. It is very cold water. In fact, after about 30 seconds, I'm like, and I try to do it in the most uncomfortable way possible. So like at first, I always start cold showers by sounds weird, but taking it in the mouth, because like I don't know why, but I feel like I spit it back out, but I don't know. There's something about that that just like makes sense to me. Anyway, so I like I turn it on and I like grab a gulp of water. Oh, that's why. The reason I do that is it's like an activity instead of just standing there and taking it like as if I'm trying to accomplish something. Like, oh, I'm gonna get a mouthful of water and then spit it out. So I do that, and then I think like the most uncomfortable way to get a cold shower is like over the shoulder, like from behind, like down your back. I think is like the worst annoying, that and like just directly on your head. So I try to get that spot for like a few seconds out of the 40, I guess. Definitely you need to point the cold shower at your balls. I gotta hit that spot. What else? I think that's mostly it. So then I was like, okay, how much longer I'm gonna handle this? I'm like, am I adjusting? Not really. It's still really terrible. And then like for whatever reason, I think it's probably like the pipes were like way colder than like whatever the water that replaces it in the house's pipes. I don't know, but the water got a little bit warmer, and then like the shit that I was saying, like, oh, it's so hot, like, oh, I wish I had some ice cubes. It's like actually true. I was like, oh, this is actually warm. Like, there's like no point to this, so I like turn it off. I'm like, okay, well, we ran out of cold water, I guess. I mean, like the coldest cold water. I guess maybe there was some warm water at some point in the pipe, and that would have run out. I don't know. So do that, and then let's see. I grab my supplements. I've got like a little espresso machine, so I get that. Add a little bit of cold water to it, so that I can take mostly like quercetin and bromelain, a little bit of L-theanine, and maybe taurine and vitamin C, and some NMN. I think that's what I take. A little bit of creatine. Yeah. So yeah, add a little bit of cold water to my coffee so that I can use that to take the supplements. I did not add enough cold water, so it was like too hot, and I'm like, oh, like this is annoying, but whatever. I got the supplements down, and again, you lean into the suffering. Don't look for things to complain about, to like as excuses or like to give up or whatever. Look for things that are like painful so that you can like, I don't know, kind of revel in it. There was another phrase that was brought up by somebody I was watching, amor fati, which means love your destiny, or that's one way of interpreting it. I think it's like a Nietzsche phrase, or at least from one of his books he mentioned it. Anyways, yeah, I'm trying to love the destiny, love the timeline. Like this is not just like the best timeline, but my favorite timeline. There's lots of ups and downs, and I'm here for all of it. Anyways, so there are some ants. I saw some dirty clothes on the floor that I was like, oh, I'm gonna throw these down in the basement. As I pick them up, there's like a bunch of ants under the clothes, and I'm like, oh, like shit. Should I like look through the clothes to see if there's ants? I'm not sure. And I'm like, whatever. I grab paper towel with some hot water, kill it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Take care of it. And then I sit down and I do some work. Another thing that was mentioned that resonates is like do some really hard, annoying work like right off the bat. So I'm like, oh, what was the problem that I was struggling with last night and kind of fell asleep, not able to solve? It was dealing with some of the data collection of AI reactions so I could summarize what was going on. Anyways, I figured out a way to do that. It's like not so bad. So I do that. I test it. It's working. Great. And at this point, it's like 6:20 or so, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what time the sun rises. And I looked that up, and it's like I think it's did it say 7:30? 7:15, I think. 7:18. And then I'm like, okay. And under that, after I Google that, under the description, it's like, oh, the 30 minutes before the sun rises is called civil dawn. And I was like, ooh, that's a cool phrase, civil dawn. And I was like, oh, you know what? I should go for a walk and time it so that I get to enjoy civil dawn, which is like sort of like pre-light before the sun, crosses before the tip peaks out. Um, you get a little bit of light bouncing around in the sky. I'm like, oh, that's very, very cool. I like that. So I'm like, all right, what temperature is it? Like, okay, 41 degrees, a little bit cold. Normally I'd be like, well, whatever, I'll just put on my regular, maybe long sleeve shirt, maybe rain jacket. But I'm like, well, I guess I'm a little sick, got the sore throat. Let's put on a sweater. So I get that up and all that stuff. And then I like head out and I'm like, air kind of feels like it might be raining a little bit. Like, should I like not do this? Like, what if it rains harder while I'm like halfway through my walk and I might be like 10 or 15 minutes, even if I'm like jogging from being back at my house. Screw it. I'm going to do it anyways. And, fortunately, it remained an extremely, almost imperceptible drizzle. Just a little peach fuzz of rain. An aura of moisture. So I take a walk. I have a super bright orange jacket and super bright chroma green shoes. So I'm like, I'm probably fine, even though it's a little dark out. And we are in civil dawn, so it's getting lighter. And then it's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm not going to see no sunrise because it's like, it's gray. The sky is gray, cloudy. So okay, whatever, no sunrise, that's fine. I'm just going to do it anyways. I like to walk to the Dunkin' Donuts. It's like about like 20, 30-minute walk or so, a couple miles. There's no sidewalk, so you play a little bit of footsies with the cars. But I try to give them a polite, like, soldier nods at a sergeant kind of thing, like, respectfully, do not run me over. Let's see. Anyways, I was like, oh, I kind of like to listen to something while I'm walking. That would be nice. Even though it's a bit lazy, it's not like the perfect day, like hardcore focus mode, but whatever. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll listen to some different like relationship podcasts. Like, it's like so negative and bummer and full of hate. And there's some wisdom or some interesting ideas there, but mostly I kind of hate most of it. That's partially why I'm making my own project and doing it because I've got my own take on things. So I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. And I'm like, I'll listen to lo-fi. I could listen to that a million times, and I probably have listened to at least a couple thousand. So I'm playing that, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know, I want to listen to my own stuff. So I listened to the Spiritual Project video. Very positive vibes, very much, me fighting the good fight, looking for reconnecting to my inspiration and vision and what I'm trying to accomplish, and connecting really everything in my life experiences, my thoughts, my frustrations, with relationships and dating. And, especially now that I'm dating again, it's very relevant. It's not necessarily something I think about every day, but it has re-entered my consciousness in terms of like just strategic thinking. Like, am I trying to be in a new relationship? Am I trying to do a different form of relationship? Maybe there's a lot of different options and different ways of looking at things. And it is a ongoing conversation internally. But anyway, so I listened to that and I was like, oh, this is really nice. And, I'm like, well, it's a rainy, cold day and I'm sick and there were ants and, I'm probably sticking a bit of a spear in the heart of today by going to Dunkin' Donuts and getting like a donut. And I was like, okay, well, here's the compromise, or whatever. I decided to myself, like, if I get a croissant, egg, sausage, cheese sandwich, that will knock me out. I'll get like super tired. I mean, it's so tasty, but that's something about that meal will like activate the digestion brain, and I'll just be tired and sleepy So we'll not do that. We'll actually just do a glazed donut, which will be like maybe per capita less healthy because it's like more sugar and there's no meat or cheese or egg. But I know from trial and error that if I have just one donut, I will be fine. My brain will not be tanked. I can hit the coffee as soon as I come home. As long as I don't chain reaction snack, I'll be good. So I'm like, okay, I'll just do one donut. And I was like, okay, fine. And as I, cross the street at the very end and get to the Dunkin' Donuts, I've got my money ready, and I'm like, okay, can I get one glazed bagel or one glazed donut? And they're like, oh yeah, sure thing. And this Dunkin' Donuts is near and dear to my heart because there was a time where I would drive to the Dunkin' Donuts literally every single day to get like 4 large cold brews. Sometimes donuts, sometimes not. On the hardcore days, I would just get the coffee. Sometimes some snacking bacon with no sugar, always a challenge. Anyways, so like, not all of the people have changed, and it's been a long time since my daily Dunkin' Donuts visits. Probably close to a year, probably, since I was doing that regularly. Maybe a little less. Anyways, so some of the Dunkin' Donuts, I think I recognize one of the guys noticed me, gives me a little head nod, which is cool, special. I think anytime your routine can involve other people, you don't even necessarily need to interact with them too much. Just like a familiar face is cool. So, anyways, that was nice, and it feels like a big life contrast because in the past I would always drive, very much in a rush, always drive to the Dunkin' Donuts, and now I'm walking, which is about 30 minutes or so there, and then another 30 minutes back. So it feels good to walk places. And it's also significant because I'm moving to a different place soon. So this may be the last time, maybe not, but this could be the last time that I'm making the walk from my house to Dunkin' Donuts. And anyway, so I asked for the glazed donut, and the guy grabs one, hands it to me. He's like, "Here you go, you're good." And I'm like, not with the program, so I'm like, "Oh, here's the money." And he's like, "No, you're good, you're good." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And that felt very special to me. I mean, in a sense, I can afford a donut. In another sense, I really can't. Money's pretty tight right now. But like, obviously I can, you know. Anyway, I showed up there with the intention of paying for a donut. But I don't know, having someone just be like, "Oh, it's just a donut," just one donut, like, it kind of helped, like, reaffirm to me, like, yeah, honestly, like, if I had to ask for 2 donuts, I probably would have paid for 2 donuts. If I had to ask for a breakfast sandwich, I probably would have paid for the breakfast sandwich. But like, just one donut, just similar to like from a fasting or like digestion brain kind of point of view. I'm like, I know if I just have one donut, that I'll be fine. That I'll go. I won't want to take a nap or like chain reaction snack or like be tired. I'll still be excited to work and drink coffee and stuff if I just have one donut. So like following through in that and just having one donut, it was like, oh, it's free. Was like, it felt like a very nice metaphorical and literal harmony right there. The metaphor, like, one donut is free. 2 donuts costs 2 donuts. It's not buy one, get one. Yeah, buy one, lose one, I guess. So I don't know, that felt very special. It felt like an omen. So I took the donut. It didn't make a big deal about it. I was just like, oh, thank you so much. And then I, went out and started walking back. And I had brought a few tissues with me because, again, throat stuff. But yeah, I felt very on my journey. Chasing my personal legend, as the alchemist terminology would go. And on one hand, trying to lean into the suffering. I think I very much long ago discarded the beginner's luck aspect of the journey. I did absolutely benefit from just beginner's luck on this project. And I feel like on this life, I got lucky with a lot of where I started from. Getting interested in developing all the skills and interests that I needed to work on the exact kind of projects that I would want to orient my life around. And reclaiming that mission hasn't been easy. It's been worthwhile, but reprioritizing things, I think, correctly for the first time in a long time, it isn't an easy thing. I think it's a challenge, and you have to lean into the challenge. There's some days it feels like so easy and fulfilling and successful that you're like, how could I ever not be chasing, my mission or my dreams, my projects? But it's not like that every day. You'll never have that every day, and you probably wouldn't appreciate it even if you did. I mean, easy to say that on the days where you don't, but you got to show up, go for a walk, get just one donut. When you've got a bit of a sore throat and it's raining, chance of escalating to actual rain instead of just aggressive humidity. It was a very, very light drizzle, and it never escalated, but it could have, and that would have been fine. Like, whatever, I get drenched, and that was what I was thinking to myself. Like, so what? If I get sick, I get sick. Whatever. I'm a relatively healthy person. My immune system has been challenged by having one kid in kindergarten and another kid in daycare, but I'm doing okay most of the time. I'm feeling healthy, and even when I'm sick, I'm usually functional. I only got knocked on my ass for like 2 days, like once in the past year. Not bad. So yeah, I think I'm gonna get back to work, but I just really wanted to record something about omens, and I guess kind of as a send off to living this place. I think I'll be living somewhere else very soon. Maybe I'll make another video before then, but if I don't, I have this, and I very much, in the Marie Kondo way, I'm grateful to what this place has offered me, but it's time for me to move on, and I'm excited for new things and also just less things ahead. Yeah, have a good one, and appreciate the omens, even the negative ones, because it might be a sign that you've exited the beginner's luck phase of your pursuit, and that you're onto the challenge, which is more persistent throughout the process. I think most of projects, the beginner's luck phase feels awesome, but you don't get to have that the whole time. You mostly are challenged and need to struggle when you're chasing your personal legend. And I do think I've found that to be the case. So in some cases, you should lean into the suffering, I think, and try to notice positive and negative omens that orient you towards, like, yeah, you're fighting the good fight. All right, peace out.